couple weeks ago, Frontier added the Antarctica dwelling Cryolophosaurus into Jurassic World Evolution 3. So let's put it back in Antarctica and build a research station for it. Back then, Antarctica used to be connected to a large supercontinent named Gondwana, which is more northern compared to where Antarctica sits now. Due to this, the Cryolophosaurus barely even experienced snow, meaning it's gonna take a while for it to acclimate to the colder climate. So we're gonna start off by building an enclosure with just a small bit of snow inside. As I place down a few puddles of water, you'll notice that there are some teeny tiny lily pads growing on the surface of them. Don't ask me how lily pads got to Antarctica, but they add a little bit of character to the enclosure, so we'll keep them there. This square map is surrounded by mountains, which means it'd be a sin not to add them into our enclosure. So we gotta make the almighty decision.
Where's your mountain live?
I've decided our mountain lives right in the middle of these three pools of water, with some of it cutting across the middle of the enclosure. And a few trees and a few rocks later, the nature aspect of the enclosure is finally complete. I've planned to add a little viewing gallery inside of this mountain which scientists can peek through to study the animals. I've dabbled with modular building a couple times before with my poop museum and poop factory, which were very large and time-consuming projects, but I made a very avoidable mistake in this build that made it not quite live up to the expectations I set myself after building the poop stuff. That mistake, of course, is building too flat. You can see the walls are just uninteresting and dull, which I try to save later on by placing down some air conditioning units and these tube thingies up on the roof. I'll admit, it looks slightly better after those additions, but it still doesn't look good enough for me not to cringe while looking at it whilst I edit. So let's just get this over with and start with the facility buildings. I'll start off by building the main research building, and let me tell you, unlike the mountain viewing gallery, this one is actually stare-atable. Like, it's actually decent. Don't mind the viewing gallery in the car, by the way, it's just a reference for scale. Anyway, after laying out the floor plan, I get some not concrete, that sucks, some panel walls to border the floor. It kinda looks like it's got some premium insulation technology inside of it, which is pretty useful for a research station out in the snow. It also camouflages against the mountains, which I guess means it'll make a good hiding spot in case a cryo escapes. After 2 layers of wall, I finally get to building the copper roof, which was a big hassle. Even though I'm the guy who built it, I can't even explain what I did on the roof, mainly because I was just fiddling around with a bunch of the pieces until I found a decent combination. So here's a quick time lapse for you. We're back at a point in the build where I can actually accurately explain what's going on. I placed this strip of orange concrete around the building to add a bit of contrast against the white. It also adds this nice pop of color to the building, so that's cool as well. Which I guess is contrast, but whatever. Afterwards, I test out a number of different doors where I settle on this prehistoric looking Jurassic Park door. Then, I add the lettering. Cryolophosaurus Research. You absolute dummy, Jaden, go fix it! Ah. Much better. After, I place a couple windows across the walls and some DIN signage to act as finishing touches. Now, let's move on to the other buildings. Our remote research station down in Antarctica is nothing without some power generators, so I placed down 2 of them right now. Just to protect anyone from touching the 1,000,000-volt generators, I surround them with some fences. As of now, our scientists don't have access to our dinosaurs, so I add a double gate so the ranger cars can get into the enclosure. And an entry building, 3 viewing towers, a ranger station, 1 maintenance facility, a staff center, and paleomedical station later, we can finally place down the path. For the path in this build, I basically place it all around the facility, leaving gaps for me to fill in with gardens. That's all you really need to know, so let's get into another time lapse, shall we? Back to the interesting stuff, we start back in the double gate enclosure entry area. I remove the greenery and replace it with some cliff terrain paint just to give the cars an area to drive around smoothly in. Off screen, I placed down some metal fencing for extra protection. And just so you guys know, yes, the cars can fit through the fence. In the gate area, I construct some yellow poles to ensure the cars go straight through the gates and not into some random wall or anything. And behind the poles, I add some biosyn lights to illuminate the path during some nighttime expeditions. Behind all of that, I placed down some JP columns found on the Jurassic Park gates. Now, this is the fun part. I wanted to create the effect of a trail by placing green patches of grass on the left and right sides, but filling the middle in with dead grass, which would of course be the trail. The reason why the grass is dead, of course, is because of the cars that repeatedly run over the greenery as they run through the gates. It took a while, but thanks to these square patches of dead grass, it was a lot quicker. I do think that'll be one of my new favorite grass pieces now, because of how much space it covers with just one piece. Moving on to the circular gap in the middle of the path, I had some wooden fencing to border the garden that will soon be inside of it. We don't want the trees to be lonely, so let's go on and plan a heck of a lot more. After placing a bunch of benches, we populate the entry site with a whole load of planters. Originally, I wanted to use those fountains we had in the old game, but I didn't because I thought they were removed like the original planters by Frontier to motivate you to build your own stuff. But they weren't removed, and when I realized that, I felt very... It made me do this. If it weren't for the fire and the epic music, you wouldn't have been able to tell that I regretted literally everything, but I did despite it looking like my mouse was betraying me. Time for these little windows in the middle of all this heavy fencing. I built this little structure with benches, and the fountains I figured out were still in the game as little break area for all the tired employees. Of course, that was copied over to the other side as well. In front of that, I had some metal fences so people can't go ahead and electrocute themselves on the bigger fences. In this rectangular gap, I originally planned there to be another garden, but I honestly could not be bothered, so I filled it with a bunch of electrical generators, and it really did turn out pretty nice. I honestly think it was better than the garden idea I had in mind, and more realistic too. This is Antarctic here, we can't have any more palm trees. This next area is all just staff stuff. I mean, we've got a staff center, response facilities, and a research center here, so we can't have much distractions, or things that'll obstruct the path the employees take when they walk around the site. Or as the honest man would say, I did not know what to do down here, so I just placed down 2 fountains. Unlike that area, I did know what to do down here. I added a couple of planters, a couple of fountains, and a few of these cool looking lanterns and statues as nice distractions from all the chaos that may be happening down in your office. Now, all we need to do is synthesize the Cryolophosaurus
Enrique!
3 males, 3 females, perfectly balanced as all things should be. Oh, 2 males, 3 females, there goes the balance.
No, I'm still gonna keep my distance, thank you very much. I'll leave it to you to...
Yep, you don't gotta rub it in, Finn. Now, we can finally get some juvenile dinosaurs to roam around the enclosure to give it a bit more livelihood. In the nest, you can spot 2 eggs. 2 eggs means 2 babies, 2 babies grow into 2 adult cryos, and 2 adult cryos mean 2 more deadly threats to society. And we're done. Like, share, and subscribe, everybody. Have a great day.